All right, let me make sure my audio is working. 1 second. Testing, testing. Let me make sure my audio is working. Okay, it's working. Great. Okay, so here's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be looking at this deal that I got sent yesterday in Georgia. So if you guys want a full screen version, just go to youtube.com/@Kent_HE. I'm gonna try to fit things into Instagram, but it's really hard just because I'm not able to share the full screen. So let's just go through some details. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath, 2.25% interest rate, just in case people can't see on Instagram. Maturity date March 1st, 2051. So they bought this home, probably 30-year loan, so it's just about 2021. Okay. PITI is 759.86, 27 years into maturity. Yep. They think the long-term rental comes to $1,200. The entry fee is $33,000, which is made up of $23,000 to the seller, $10,000 assignment fee plus closing costs. Cool. So let's kind of go through these details. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run through the same process that we typically go through to get that fair market rents, or the FMRs, the market rent, and then also look at the crime index score because I'm not familiar with this area at all. And then after everything is done, we'll do the Excel spreadsheet together at the same time because I can only share one screen at a time. So I apologize for this, but hey, I'm trying to pivot and I'm trying to make it work, and I like to stay consistent if I can. So let's go ahead and do this. So let's look up this property. So when I pull up the photos, it's going to be right up here. And if you're able to see the photos here, let's just look at the general condition of the home. Flooring looks fine. I think that's like popcorn ceiling. Kitchen looks okay. Water heater looks fine. It's like this weird stabilizer thing right here. All right, let's keep going. Bathroom looks great on that one. I don't know what's going on here. I feel like they did like a little shoddy job on a window trim here. You see like little scrapes and bruises right there. This bathroom looks fine. Okay, go backwards. I'm assuming they finished the bathroom. It looks like it. It looks like it's almost there, but it looks like there's like some minor work that needs to get done. So this is a really, 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 really rural area. You can kind of see like this part needs some work right here. You see these walls? I don't know what they did. It's like they painted the floors and they ran over the edge or something like that. That's just weird. It's weird. I almost set aside some money for painting. Yeah, you can kind of see there's some paint chips. All right, so now that I have a general condition of the home, let me go look at the FMRs. Now, if you look up this property and you look up the word county, it's in Twiggs County in Georgia. So I went ahead and pulled up the small area FMRs. And just for folks that don't know the process, I'm trying to be really streamlined with how I'm streaming this, is go to HUD FMR. You can Google HUD space FMR. Then go to the small area FMRs. You're going to click twice through the small area FMRs, and you're going to be allowed to pick the state and the county, and that'll bring you to the screen right here that shows you the fair market rents, or the FMR, by zip code, by bedroom count. What I care most about here is the 1270 and 1390. So for a 3-bedroom, the rent ceiling should be 1270, and the rent ceiling for a 4-bedroom should be 1390. But then we have to go and get the market rent. Now, interestingly enough, when I plugged in this address here, you guys can kind of look at this. When I plugged in this address and I looked at the 3-bedroom counts, what we do not see is 1.34 mile radius, 1 unit. So unlike some of the other properties that we've seen before, where we usually see 25 units within X mile radius because they are a little bit more urban in terms of the demographics in the market, we don't see that here, probably because it's in a super rural area. So what I decided to do to get some semblance of a market rent is, I have the 1095 here for 70 units in the zip code, which is probably pretty good, but that will probably be my underlying scenario. But if I go to redfin.com and I typed in, I'm assuming it's Macon or Mason. I don't know what it's called. I don't know how to say it, but that's okay. I looked in the area where this address is, and I found some properties for rent for entire homes at 1220, 1200, 1500, and 1,400, 1,288 square feet, 1,389 square feet. This one is 1,468 and 1,056. So this makes me feel pretty good that I can achieve somewhere close to the market run that we saw here at 1,095 with a max of 1,270. So I feel pretty good about using those numbers as my scenario analysis. The next thing I want to do is I went to tophap.com, and because this is such a rural area, I don't really expect much crime. It doesn't seem like there's much going on here in this area. We can go for a little street view, but I'm assuming it's going to be just a lot of trees. Yeah, it's a lot of trees. I'm not so sure there's going to be a lot of crime, or if there is, there's nothing really you can really do because people have to really work and try to get out there in the middle of nowhere to do stuff to your home. But what I do like is that when I go to tophap.com, I'm able to see the neighborhood score for the crime index, and it's 124, slightly above national average, but not too far off from one of the other homes I have in Fairfield. So just based on everything I've seen so far, that's okay. All right, so what have we done so far? Just to recap, we've looked at the deal details. I'm going to translate that to Excel shortly. I've looked at the photos to understand how the condition of the home looks like. Then I looked at the HUD FMR to see what the fair market rents look like based off of HUD standards and how they calculate the fair market rents. I looked at the market rent through affordablehousing.com, but I was not able to get any market rents at a very specific radius. So I went to Redfin to look at some available rentals right now that are on the market and try to figure out whether or not I can achieve similar rents to that area. And that's okay. And then from that point onwards, I also looked at the crime index score. All right, so now I'm going to go and move towards the Excel file. So I'm going to stop sharing and reshare a different screen because otherwise my thing completely lags. And hopefully I'll get a new computer soon, so it won't lag. But I'm traveling with a laptop today, so work with me here, guys. All right. So now that I have the Excel up, again, if you guys are looking for the full screen version, go to youtube.com/@Kent_HE. And I've gone ahead and plugged in some numbers here already. I think I saw someone in the chat. Who is that? I thought I heard a ping in the chat. Hey, Daryl, good to see you, man. Happy Thanksgiving, buddy. Always good to hear from you. Thanks for popping in a comment there. I appreciate you, man. All right, so $128,000 is the purchase price. And then right now, I am going to go in and show you guys how I put in the rents here. So you guys can see that I put in the monthly income rents at $1,270 right now, which was the FMR that I plugged in right here for 31217. I also have the rent for 31217 for 4 bedrooms, and I plugged in the numbers from affordablehousing.com for the city and the zip for these areas. Okay, so I want to analyze this deal using 1270 and 1095 and use those rents as what I like to do to figure out whether or not this is a deal. So then I went into plugging in the numbers for my subto loan. It was the balance was going to be 105, 103 at 2.25%. And I put in the start date of March 1, 21st, since the maturity date was March 1, 2051, 5-1. So I just backed up 30 years from that. 2.25 interest rate amortized over 30 years. It's $23,000 cash for seller right now, $10,000 of the assignment fee to the wholesaler that locked up this deal and acquired this property. And then I got closing costs of about 2.5%, which feels pretty reasonable at this stage in time. So I plugged in my loan, right? But then I just did 759.86, which is the PITI that was given to us by the wholesaler. So I wanted to plug that in, subtract the principal and the interest to get the total taxes and insurance number. So you can see that I left out the insurance number here simply because I am using the same exact number that came from the wholesaler. Now, might it be a little bit more expensive? Yeah, sure. We can probably plug in like an extra $30 or something like that per month, because that'll be extra $300 a year because it's an investment property. So it might be slightly higher, but that's okay. We plug in a little extra there just to kind of be safe on insurance estimates. And right now we are leaving aside, like we always do, 10% for maintenance, which means we're setting aside dollars every single month in anticipation that something will break, whether that's a roof, HVAC, air conditioner, whatever that might be. I'm setting aside 8% for property management, and then I'm setting aside 3% for my vacancy because I expect some months to eventually be empty. Okay. Now, going to my rehab calculator. Right now, because it looks relatively turnkey or the rest of the house looks like it's pretty good shape, I'm putting in $1,500 for the roof just in case there's something wrong with the roof that I cannot see right now. I'm cleaning up the landscape because there seems to be a ton of natural greens right around our area. I'm putting in 1920 for my interior paint as the $3 per square foot. Now we saw that the house looked relatively good shape. I'm assuming it's still in the same shape, so there's definitely some drywall and some repairs that we need to do based off the photos. So I'm just gonna be a little bit safer here and assume that I need to repaint the entire house to make it look really, really nice. But that's really all the rehab I have, besides for putting in another line item for termite fumigation. Now, you're out in the wild. So this is a deal that's been locked up by a wholesaler. So it's unlikely we're going to get inspection repair credits, for lack of better words, because this has probably been negotiated and there's been probably some understanding between the seller and the wholesaler before they're able to sell this property to us as the end buyers. So I'm gonna leave it another $1,000 here. So all in all, this equals a 10.5K rehab. Now, could that be a lot? Yeah, sure, it could be. But let's do the scenario analysis for this, right? So we have $10,000 right now at 1270 rent, which is it's essentially my rent ceiling, quote unquote, right now. And this is going to result in a cash flow of $213 a month at 5.5% return. 213, 5.5%. Now, what if I only got 1,095, which I'm assuming is my quote unquote floor case scenario? Okay, well, this isn't that bad of a deal. At a floor case scenario, this is $75 and this is a 1.9% cash on cash return. I like that because one, it's not a my worst case scenario is not me losing money, unlike the deal that I looked at yesterday where the taxes and insurance is a lot higher. So today, this one is going to be a little bit quote unquote safer, but again, this isn't exactly a very attractive yield. So I need to know, hey, how do I make this a deal? Because right now it's not a deal. So what if right now the purchase price is locked in, right? The cash to seller is already locked in. The problem with why the cash on cash return is so low is that your entry fee right now, which is your cash to seller, closing costs, assignment fees, and renovations, is $46,000. That's almost 50% of what it is. Not exactly, but it is. So I might say, well, what if I overestimated rehab and I divide that by half? What if my rehab's only $5,000? And let's bump this up back up to 1270 for my rent. Well, in this scenario, I would be at 6%. Well, what if I'm able to negotiate with the seller, the wholesaler, and reduce my assignment fee from $10,000 to $5,000? Because I can say, hey, the numbers simply don't work for me. Even though I have lowered my renovation by half, which I really don't think I'm going to go lower than $5,000. I think it's just healthy to have a little bit of reserve there, just in case something kind of pops up and you have to get the house ready to rent it out. And then I also lowered my assignment fee to $5,000. This is still a 7% cash and cash return only. So let me kind of write that down. Rehab. And this is my assignment fee. Now you can kind of tell, right? I've been able to go through different scenarios all the time because I want to see like what is a deal and what is not a deal. So I'm going to use roughly 10,000 rehab, 10,000 assignment. And now I'm at 5,000 rehab, 5,000 assignment. And this is still not a deal because right now I'm only cash flowing 213, same amount of price, same amount of cash flow, but my cash on cash return is now 7% instead of 5.5% because I was able to lower the amount of rehab by half and to lower the amount of the assignment by half, but still not a deal. So now I got to figure out, well, what if I lower my cash to the seller, right? That's the only other thing that you really have negotiation power over. Well, what if I gave the seller $10,000 less? Now it's at 9.68%. So that would require cash to seller 23,000, and that was 23,000 to all of these. But now I'm saying cash to seller is $13,000, and this is now a 9.3% cash and cash, or 9.7. I'm sorry. And to me, that's just not it. That's just not a very attractive deal. If I don't get at least over 15%, It's not the best ideal situation because this is me underwriting at the best case scenario. Um, so not ideal, but what if I lowered this to $5,000? What does that get me? Now to 13.8. Well, if I can get the seller down to $5,000 instead of $13,000, and everything else has to make sense, which means the purchase price has to remain the same. Rehab is half, assignment fee is half, and the seller is going to be half. So this is asking the seller to take almost $18,000 less than what they have so that I can achieve a 13.9% cash on cash return. Ideally, if I want to be 15%, I would do this if there was no more cash to the seller. Actually, hold on. I just want 15%. Oops. Okay. If this is only $3,500, whoops, let me go through the scenario entirely. This is now $3,500 cash to seller. Now my cash and cash return is 15.1. And my cash will still remain the same, but now my cash and cash return is a lot higher because my entry fee has gone from about $46,000 down to 16 grand. And this is how you make it a deal, right? You need a lot of sides to kind of give up for this to make it a deal. So that's it. That's how we underwrite this deal. And just know that there are always terms and a number that makes a deal a deal. And this was a Section 8 property that says was apparently like approved already. I'm not sure what that exactly means because based off the photos, if you see chipped off paint, usually the Section Authority does not approve of a home with like peeling paint like that, especially if it's an older home. You never know if there's like lead or anything like that. So just be a little careful there. But for the most part, this was the underwriting for this property. But if I were to back up to what the original numbers were, 10.5, going back to $23,000 to the cash seller at $10,000 entry fee, now at $46,000. Now I'm right back at 5.5%. So this is not a deal. This could be a deal, but it's all very far away from what it will be. So hopefully that was helpful. I hope you guys have an amazing Friday. I'll analyze another deal again tomorrow. The whole point of why I do this is so that we stay consistent with our habits every single day. We're analyzing these deals so that we can figure out at what point, at what terms does this become a deal for us for the Section 8 property. Now, in this case, we were really far off, but hey, we were able to play around the scenarios and we're able to come up with a scenario that had the terms that would make it a deal for us. And this is sometimes feedback that you can just give to a wholesaler. But for the most part, I hope you guys found this useful. Please make sure you guys share the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Kent_HE with any of your friends or family who are looking to get into real estate. This is not a solicitation for investments. I am simply showing you guys the unsexy side of real estate where we're not flashing Lamborghinis and Ferraris. We're simply doing the work every single day, trying to figure out what's the deal so that you all can have your own YouTube channel with your own history. Because when another investor comes up and asks you, hey, why do you think this is the deal? Well, you can point them to your YouTube channel and show them the past 100 properties that you have looked at and why they were all not deals, and now why this one is a deal in comparison relative to all the analysis that you have done before. I hope this helps you guys a lot because I've always struggled to think about, hey, what's the first step? What's the first step? Well, I'm not sure that this is the best step, but I know that this is a step in the right direction, and this is why I do it. You guys can copy the same files, same Excel. Just DM me your email on Instagram at InvestWithKentHe if you want a copy of the calculator. I've been very fortunate to have been given some of these calculators by other folks, and I was able to modify it to fit what I need. But I'm super grateful for those folks, and I'm happy to kind of share this with you because this is how we truly pay it forward. And this is how we truly solve for the affordable housing crisis that we're in. So please DM me anytime, and please share this YouTube channel with other folks. And we are out. Thank you so much. Have an amazing weekend, and I'll be back again doing this tomorrow.